just as important to attract your ideal client as it is to repel people who are not your ideal client. And getting over that mental block, I think, has been really powerful these last couple months because I know what I'm so passionate about. What we need to do now as educators, creators in the space is really put our personal touch on it. So over the last 3 years of my business, I've been avoiding doing this one thing, and I've finally decided to give in. Now, if you've been following the Digital Wellness Club along for the whole journey, you'll know that I typically talk about marketing tips, digital marketing, social media, funnels, websites, the whole shebang. And that's because that's what I have been doing. Those are the services I've been offering. Those are the things that I initially really had to learn how to do in my business. My first business, my juice shop, was all that digital marketing pieces. And I also really loved it. You know, systems like that really bring in both sides of my brain that I like to use. I like to be really creative, but I also like to see the puzzle pieces and make everything work. And that's been my jam. But there's a big part of marketing that every business takes part in, every business should. And when I work with my clients, it's something that I talk about a lot. And the more I look at it, the more I realize I have not been taking my own advice, or at least I've been trying to really maneuver around it. And so what this thing is it's really niching down. I know people talk about niches, talk about, your target market, your ideal client, all of those things. And I'll be the first to say it is just as important to attract your ideal client as it is to repel people who are not your ideal client. And a lot of time business owners get in that kind of fear mentality that if they say this word or if they talk to just this specific person, that people aren't going to buy, they could not be letting other people come buy from them, which I know isn't true. I tell them isn't true. You're still going to get everybody from different walks of life, but you really need to, create with this person in mind. And so for me, that's been mothers. And it's kind of ironic because I am a mother. So much of my work is with the purpose and the intent of helping women who have to manage a home and children and want to run a business. Because when you do it in that format with children, it is way different than if you don't have children. It just is. And I think for a really long time, I was scared to do that because I really didn't want to make women who didn't have kids feel like they couldn't work with, because that's not the case at all. But again, if I were to take my own advice, it would be that even if I talk to mothers, a lot of women will still probably have the same issue. And men might even as well. And so this year, I've just had this epiphany, and with talking to a lot of business owners who are also mothers, working moms, stay-at-home moms, I just feel so passionate about helping this group of people really elevate themselves. And I think a lot of it is it's a personal thing. And a lot of times the business you start, the people you help is somebody who you were, a couple years ago. And that would have been me. I would have had young children. I was trying to figure it out. When I started my first business, I didn't have kids yet. And then I had both my daughters whilst running that business. And I had to figure a lot of things out. Okay. It got real quick, once you have kids, and you don't know what you don't know. You don't know till you're there. And I think when I started the digital wellness again, I really just didn't want to make people feel not welcome. And I think that's something that a lot of women do, where we tend to be a bit of people pleasers, or, I didn't want people not to like me, right? When you show up online, that's a big thing you got to get over, is having people like you or not like you. And what I'm learning, because we're always learning, we're always growing, is that if I am not putting content out there with my opinions on it, I've been calling it pretty vanilla stuff. And we are in the day and age where how-to and knowledge-based content like that is, it's just not going to cut it anymore, because with things like ChatGPT and AI, if somebody wants to learn how to do something, it is so easy. With YouTube, with podcasts, there's somebody out there showing you how to do something, step 1 through 5. And what we need to do now as educators, creators in the space, is really put our personal touch on it. So in thinking this way and wanting to put my influence on these things, what do I know? What is my reality? It's the reality that, I have kids, 2 kids, and I run a business. My husband also works, and I also manage the house and all of the things. And anybody else teaching digital marketing, not all of them are going to check those boxes. So that's actually, instead of looking at it as a negative and really like narrowing the audience in a bad way, what it's really doing is now I'm specifically talking to a group of people that I can get in their heads and I can be like, I know what you're going through because I am going through the same thing. And here are the systems I've created that work for me still in this chaos. So they could work for you too. And I think that's really powerful. And I've already tested a few things. I'm creating some content with my opinions, unpopular belief. I think multitasking is really beneficial, right? Whereas some 25-year-old kid who gets up at 5 a.m. is like, no, multitasking is bad. It's like, well, his life is not my reality. So why would I take advice from somebody who isn't going through what I'm going through, who has no idea what I'm all about? And so it's interesting, even now, rewriting copy, thinking about putting posts up, my default is to say, you're busy working, you're a woman, and you're running the household, when really I want to say, you're a mom of 3 kids and it's bonkers. And I'm trying to lean into that a little bit more and be okay with it. I'm not for everybody, and that's okay. And getting over that mental block, I think, has been really powerful these last couple months, because I know what I'm so passionate about. And when I get into that groove of just talking about topics for mothers, it really lights me up. And I get really excited about helping them because I know it, I live it, and I breathe it every day. And so if I can help a woman find her purpose, find her passion, turn it into a business and start feeling like confident and good about herself, like, oh, that is chef's kiss. Like, that's what I'm after. So I think what I'm trying to say here is, if there's something you've been avoiding, don't do it for 3 years like I did. But if there's something you've been avoiding, if you're thinking about starting a business, or you have your business and you're avoiding saying things or putting out content because you're not sure how your audience will react, or you don't want to rub somebody the wrong way, like, go for it. If it's who you are. I mean, obviously it'll be rude, right? Like, let's not like really go off the handles here, but start laying into your truth. And when I see other creators do it, that's usually what they're doing, right? The content I like is content that speaks directly to me, where I'm like, oh man, that person gets me and is aligned with my values. Because if we show up in a very bland, please everybody, help with a little bit of education, right? We're just going to blend into the crowd. So taking my own advice here, I'm going to power on through. And I mean, I'm still here for everybody, but I'm going to speak my truths, what my days look like. I'm not going to sugarcoat the chaotic mornings and crazy weekends. My business is set up the way it is for a reason, and it's because I'm a mother. And so I'm not gonna not let that be a part of who I am anymore. And that doesn't detract from my ability to do my job. If anything, I think it makes me better at my job. And I feel like we all need to start acting that way, that motherhood is a superpower and we're gonna take over the world as long as we start to really lean into it. It's about to get crazy. It's about to get good. And I'm happy that you're here for the ride. So thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next time.